Peter Coles here again, and as many people have been calling me in the comments, the Language G. As you can see, I'm in a new location, and that's what today's video is going to be all about. I'm actually currently in Switzerland visiting my friend. He was the guy who got me into social media. He's the guy who set me up and said, you need to be making videos on Instagram and TikTok every single day. And I know I've been slacking recently on YouTube. This is much harder work to do, and it takes up a lot more time. That's exactly why I've come to a new location. Because when you are in your own world, when I'm, for example, in Prague, I'm totally focused on language learning. I'm focused on running my business. I'm not thinking about sitting down for an hour and just talking to the camera. But when I'm here, I have nothing else to do, and I can devote my time to talking to you. I don't know where you're from, for example. Could be in the UK, could be in the US. You could be in some awful place, let's say Middlesbrough, UK, or Gary, Indiana. You were born there, you've lived there your entire life, all your friends are there, your family are there. You basically don't go anywhere else. And this is like a prison, because you want to improve and you want to go and do new things, but you're scared, you're thinking, these people are going to judge me, these people are going to laugh at me. And as soon as you get any kind of success, they're going to drag you down. When you want to do some kind of new project, you want to achieve something incredible, it's fundamental that you just get out of your bubble and go somewhere else, meet new people, and these people are much more likely to encourage you because they don't know your history. They're not judging you, they're not comparing you to who you've been in the past. You're just this new person who, in my case, maybe learns languages, maybe makes videos. I don't know what it is that you do, but that thing is who you are, and you don't want other people judging you. Now, I'm going to assume that you're living somewhere with not ideal weather. You might be living in Thailand, I don't know. But the vast majority of my audience is living in the UK, or in the US, or in Canada, Germany, Northern Europe. And the most important thing I want to focus on today is weather. Because people often forget how important the weather is and how much it affects you. If you're living somewhere that is cold and depressing and windy and rainy, you're not going to be super motivated to achieve incredible things. Now, compare that to you living in Thailand. You live next to a beach, or you live in Dubai, where it's sunny every single day. You're going to be much more motivated to go out and do incredible things. Of course, you know, I live in the Czech Republic. The weather in the Czech Republic isn't ideal, I know, but I've said many times, the reason I'm living there is to get my citizenship. Once I get that citizenship, I'm almost certainly going to leave the country. By the way, if you're working for the Czech immigration authorities, if you're the one responsible for giving me my passport, please ignore this video. It's not true. I'm going to live in the Czech Republic my entire life. Now, assuming you're not working for the Czech immigration authorities, the place I'm planning to move to after this is the UAE. I want to go and live in Dubai. Now, there are many reasons for going there, obviously tax and the weather, whatever. But the main reason I want to go to the UAE is to be surrounded by winners. I want to go to a hub that's full of people who want to run businesses, who want to do incredible things, become rich. It's a city full of content creators. I currently live in the Czech Republic. There's almost nobody there. And assuming you live in some town in England, it might be something like Birmingham, or you live in Kentucky, you're not going to be surrounded by hundreds of people who are on a similar path to you. So as long as you stay there, you're only going to be able to achieve so much, because you need a group of people around you who are on the same path as you, who want to do these kind of things to bring you up. Remember, if you're in a group of like-minded people, you're going to get so much further. Now, if you're a young person, I strongly suggest you go to somewhere that's first of all tropical, but also somewhere cheap. You don't want to immediately be moving to the UAE where everything's really expensive. Sure, you can save on taxes, but if you're not earning a lot of money at your age, you're not going to be saving any money on taxes. So there are a few options. My favorite place to go are in Southeast Asia. For example, Thailand or Vietnam or Bali in Indonesia. These are the places where you can live incredibly cheaply. And if you can live incredibly cheaply, then you can save money, you can work on your business, you can make profit, and you can invest that money. Now, if you're from the USA, one of the most popular places to go to is Latin America. Lots of American guys go to Mexico or Colombia or Argentina. These are fantastic options. I'm obviously not American, so I'm not thinking about Latin America as much as maybe you are. But you need to find a place that you want to go to, that you like, that's relaxing, but also cheap, but has a hub of people who want to achieve things. They're called digital nomads. There's lots of content creators in these places, especially Thailand. So head out to this place, whichever one you want to go to. Try it out for a few weeks, even a month. See what it's like. Meet people. Get connected there. And if you like that place, go and move. Now, obviously, it won't be really easy. You need to get accommodation. You need to get a visa. There's often a lot of documents to do. But it's not as hard as you think. Your fear is taking control of you. You're thinking it's much easier to stay in my small town because I have all these connections. I have my friends, I have my family. I don't need any kind of documents. I'll just live my life. But then you'll be stuck in a bubble forever. Get out of that bubble, pass the hurdle of getting those documents, getting the visa. Trust me, it's not as hard as you think. Once you've done it once, the second time is going to be so much easier. You have to understand that if you're staying in the place you were born, the place you grew up, you're living in this slave mind. You're stuck believing that you have to do the same thing all the time. You might have some boring dead-end job, or you might have just got out of university and you're on this path, but you don't need to believe that. You can do anything you want. And if you move to a different place, you're more likely to try other things. You're going to start other businesses. You might meet somebody who does something totally different to what you thought you were going to do, and you might like it. And then suddenly you want to try it. Now, if I hadn't moved to the Czech Republic and I hadn't met my friend, top scorer, Fabrizio, I would have never got into social media. Of course, lots of people said you should get into social media. You speak 25 languages. This is great. Well, maybe 20 languages back then. Who cares? But you can speak a ton of languages. You need to get on social media. But I lived in my little bubble. I thought the business I was doing before was the ideal business for me. And I didn't think I'd be good in front of the camera. So I never tried it. But because I traveled more and I met lots of people who did different things, I met people who did crazy businesses that are of no interest to me. That's fine. But I finally met someone who wants to do social media, and he encouraged me to do this. Imagine I'd stayed in the UK, where I grew up, in a small town. Nobody I went to school with does social media. Everyone I went to school with works in an office or a shop or does some cleaning job or whatever. They might be a mechanic, who knows? And that's great if they want to do that, but it isn't what I wanted to do. And if I hadn't left my home and gone out into the world, I'd have never known about this stuff. Remember, you are totally free. You can do anything you want, even if your friends and family are telling you, no, it's dangerous, don't go to Latin America, or if you go to Vietnam, you might get into some trouble, and what happens if you run out of money? This is the bubble. This is what I call the slave mind. Some people call it the matrix. It's keeping you stuck, and you're not going to live to your full potential. If you go out to these countries and you totally fail, well, so what? You can go home. At least when you're older, you'll be proud of yourself that you tried and did it. But imagine you never went, and now you're old and you've worked in some office selling insurance for the last 40 years, and you think, imagine if I was 20 or 30 and I'd gone out into the world, and if I'd lived in, who knows, Medellin, Colombia, or Bangkok, Thailand. Imagine what could have come of my life if I'd done it. And imagine the regret that you'll have that you never at least tried it once. So we've already discussed what is ideal for young people. Going somewhere that's cheap, somewhere that's exciting with lots of other young people who can help you grow. But let's now assume that you've made it. You are successful. It might be social media, you've got 1 million followers, it might not be. You might have $1 million business. You might be making $100,000 a month. Where should you go? Now, if you're stuck still in the UK or in Holland or Scandinavia, wherever it might be, you'll be paying 45% tax, some places 50% tax. Think to yourself, why are you paying this money? Who are you paying this money to? And what do you get back for this? Almost nothing. You are totally free, remember that. You are not chained to the country you were born in or the country you grew up in. You owe this country nothing. If they want to charge you 45% tax, as long as you don't live in that country, you can just go somewhere else. I used to live in the Netherlands and I was paying, let's say, 40% tax. Now I've moved to the Czech Republic and I'm paying what? 12, 15%? It's much better. I made that choice to go to a new place and I am very happy with that choice. But of course, as my business is growing, I'm being taxed even more heavier than before. And I'm at a point in my life where I'm thinking, what am I paying this tax for? What do I get back? Obviously, we get roads and we get healthcare, but you can get these in other countries. There are many countries around the world that have no income tax. You could go and live there. You could keep 100% of the money you earn and invest in yourself and keep growing. The one place I strongly suggest you consider at least if you're making, let's say, $10,000 a month is the UAE. The UAE is a modern, it's a vibrant, it's a city of success. Everyone's moving there, but you still pay 0% income tax. I'm not sure, I think it's after $300,000 a year you start paying a certain percentage, but as I always say, this is a problem I would like to have. I'm obviously doing well for myself, but I'm not making $300,000 a year. So you could just move to the UAE now, no matter what you're doing, as long as you're making some money, you're slightly successful, you've got maybe a little bit of fame online, they're going to take you in and it's very easy to get a visa. Obviously, if you're unemployed, the state isn't going to give you any money. That's why there are such low taxes. But if you're making your own money, the state is going to leave you alone. And if you really want to succeed, this is an ideal situation because you can pay your own healthcare, you can buy your own car, you buy fuel. I think a small tax on fuel is what pays the roads there. You don't need anything else. You only need yourself. So why not move to a place that is totally free, that doesn't tax you, doesn't put regulations on you? You can work online. Most jobs are online now. You just head over there and live as you wish to. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is citizenships and passports. So most of you probably just have one citizenship. You probably just have one passport. Now, this is okay to begin with, but it means that the state has control over you. They can take that passport away from you. They can restrict it. If you go back to your country, they can say you can't leave under extreme circumstances. Look what's happening in Ukraine right now to the men. Or they can punish you. If you're living abroad, they can say, no, you have to come home to get another passport. They can refuse to give you that. Then you have no ability to travel. But if you have more than one passport, and the more passports, the better, you have more freedom. Let's say the UK said, we're going to punish you. You can't travel anymore. You're an enemy of the state, for example. If I have a Czech passport, well, I can just travel on that. If I have a third passport, who knows what? Could be anything. It could be a Kazakh passport. I can then travel on that passport. And remember, different passports have different advantages. Western passports allow you to travel to most countries, but it's still very restricted for others such as China or Russia. So you can't easily travel to China or Russia on a British passport. You definitely can't travel easily to somewhere like Iran. But if I had a Turkish passport or if I had an Argentinian passport, I could then travel to those countries visa-free. And if I had a Western passport and a Turkish passport, I could basically travel to any country in the world. So the question now is, how do you get different passports? Well, one of them is to be born in that country. This is quite often the case in North and South American countries. Basically every country in the Americas gives you a passport for being born there. It could be blood, meaning that your parents or your grandparents were born somewhere. So let's say you're living in America, but you've got one grandparent from Italy and one grandparent from the Czech Republic. You probably have the ability to get a Czech passport or an Italian passport. There's also the option of having a child there. For example, if I had a child now in Brazil or Argentina, I'd basically get a passport straight away. And the final option is naturalization. So that's basically what I'm doing now. I'm living in the Czech Republic. I've been there 8-9 years. It takes 10 years for me to get the passport. I just stay there until I get the passport and then I can leave. Different countries have different rules. So I actually chose a very difficult path. 10 years is a very long time. If you just want a random passport, there are so many countries you could go to. Argentina, Peru, for example. As far as I'm aware, it's only 2 years you have to live there and you get given a passport. So having different citizenships and different passports is total freedom. So what have we gone through so far? Get out of your hometown, get out of your own bubble, get out into the world. If you're young, go somewhere that's very cheap, somewhere tropical with nice weather, where you're motivated to do incredible things and just start building. If you want to save on taxes, there are countries such as the UAE or Qatar that you can go to. There are other options I know about, such as Panama or Paraguay in South America. I'm not such an expert on this, but I know especially Americans go out there. So look into that and focus on taxation. You don't want to be paying tax for absolutely nothing. If you feel like you're being squeezed and the money's being taken out of you and you're not getting anything back, definitely head out into the world and find a country that treats you respectfully. And the final thing was passports and citizenships. Travel as much as you can, live in a place where you can get more passports. The more passports, the better. Gives you total freedom. Once you have 2 or 3 passports, the world is basically your oyster and you can do anything you want and no government can punish you that extremely. Now, if you like this video, I'd really appreciate it if you like and subscribe. Of course, this is actually the second video in this series. I did make one before, but I wasn't thinking of it as a series. I was just making videos. And since I came here to Switzerland, I decided we're going to make a series of this. So if you're watching this later, there's almost certainly a playlist so you can go through these videos. It's going to be about mindset. It's going to be about freedom. It's going to be about why you should learn languages, how you can live a better life. But if you have any ideas or any questions that you want to ask me, I do have a Discord. There is a link on my page. Just click it. That's the easiest way for you to contact me. So if you've got any questions after this video or any other video, even just something about learning languages or something you want me to make a video about, just head over to my Discord. I'm always on there. Of course, my DMs on Instagram and TikTok are quite full up, so it's going to take me a while to get to you. But if you write to me on the Discord, I will be able to respond to you very quickly.